The health benefits of a keto diet is common knowledge. You reduce carbs and increase fat to see the weight come off. That might be a bit too simplistic, but you get the point. Now what isn't clear is how long a person can stay on the keto diet and also if it's safe to do so. So in response to the comments on the health implications of staying on a keto diet long-term, we at Easy Health Kick would like to clear this up for you all. Now when you follow a keto diet, the goal is to reach a state of ketosis. This is when the body starts to use a byproduct of fat as fuel for the brain and other organs instead of sugar. So the question that should really be asked is if it's more harmful to the body using sugar for fuel or fat, and the answer will always be sugar. So following a keto diet long-term is absolutely fine when you compare this with a conventional diet where the body gets its fuel from sugar. This means you can stay on a keto diet for any length of time. Now following a keto diet may prove to be difficult for some from a lifestyle perspective, but from a health perspective, there's no doubt of its many benefits. Okay, now let's look at the basics of a keto diet and why it's so effective. So ketosis is a state you achieve when you are following the keto diet for a length of time. Although you might ask, what exactly is ketosis? Well, this is a state your body goes into as it shifts from getting the majority of the daily calories from carbohydrates to getting these from healthy fats with some protein. As a result of this, your body switches from burning glucose, sugar from carbs, for fuel to burning fat for fuel. One of the key outcomes of this is your insulin levels start to balance out, and in turn, your liver begins converting fat into ketones. The body can now use these ketones instead of glucose for energy. When your body is mainly using ketones and fat for energy, you're in a state of ketosis. As a result, the body becomes extremely efficient at burning off the excess fat, hence the weight loss. Now the keto diet is effective in many different ways for the body, and not just weight loss. Some of the other outcomes of this diet are increased levels of good cholesterol. Good cholesterol is otherwise known as high-density lipoprotein (HDL). Now the higher your levels of HDL relative to bad LDL, low-density lipoprotein, the lower your risk of heart disease. The best method to increase good HDL levels is to consume fat. This is where the consumption of minimal carbs and lots of fat on the keto diet becomes so effective. This is the reason that HDL levels increase dramatically on healthy, low-carb diets and increase only moderately or even decline on low-fat diets. Anxiety and depression are reduced. Studies have shown that following a keto diet can help reduce anxiety symptoms, fear and depression. One of the main reasons for this is the increased levels of inflammatory cells in the bodies of people with high anxiety and depression. Following a keto diet reduces insulin levels, which in turn reduces inflammatory chemicals in the cells. In addition to this, the low levels of sugar in a keto diet also counter the highs and lows experienced when the blood sugar levels increase and drop. This also helps with anxiety and depression. The brain is sharper and more focused. It's actually more beneficial for the brain to get its energy from ketones rather than glucose. In comparison to ketones, glucose is almost a dirty fuel for the brain. Utilizing ketones for energy has many benefits for the brain with conditions such as epilepsy and seizures. This also allows the brain to be more focused and sharper as it's run on a more cleaner energy. Now let's look at the problem with using sugar as a fuel. In a standard carb-heavy diet, the body breaks down the carbs and uses the glucose for fuel. The problem with this is there are no essential carbohydrates that the body needs. These carbohydrates are only used for energy but result in belly fat and other unwanted outcomes for the body. So when you're running your body on ketones, you're running your body on fat. However, the fat is not just used for fuel, it's used to replace body parts, cellular membranes, brain nerve tissue. Hormones are also made from fat as well as fat-soluble vitamins. So to stress the point, there are no essential carbohydrates that you need, there's no essential glucose. People tend to think that's how you get energy. Well, you can get a lot more energy from ketones, and it's efficient energy. So let's look at some common myths about staying in ketosis long-term. Now there are many myths out there to stop people from staying on a keto diet long-term. Here are some of the more common myths and explanations of why they aren't true. 1. Ketogenic acids. The myth is that a keto diet leads to ketogenic acidosis. This is basically a condition where your pH becomes more acidic from a diabetic type 1 situation where you have no more insulin. Now that's completely different than doing a ketosis diet healthily. You're not going to even get close to the amount of acids, which is a byproduct. If you have any insulin at all, which you will, it's not a problem at all. In fact, if you were a type 1 diabetic or type 2, this would be the best diet to be put on, as the glucose that you're running on burns out the cells that make insulin. 2. Muscle loss. The next myth is that you will experience muscle loss when on the keto diet. In fact, when you go into ketosis within a month of fasting, you increase the very hormone that preserves proteins, especially the muscle growth hormone. So intermittent fasting increases growth hormone, and so does the ketogenic diet. In fact, the very opposite is true for this myth. If you're running on sugar fuel, you're going to raise insulin, and insulin will lower growth hormone and cause more muscle loss. 3. Ketones are dirty. Many people out there think ketones are dirty and sugars are clean. This couldn't be further from the truth, as the opposite is true. Ketones are clean. Running your body in sugars is like running your body on diesel fuel. It's dirty. Using sugar as fuel gives a lot of byproducts in the whole metabolic pathway. Now some people say that ketogenic diets create deficiencies. That is correct. They do require different machinery, different nutrients, different B vitamins and more minerals. But as long as you have enough vegetables and you're adding more minerals, potassium and B vitamins, you're totally fine. When you're running your body on glucose, you're depleting potassium, you're depleting magnesium, and you're depleting B vitamins and calcium. In fact, when you have insulin resistance, the insulin doesn't pull in the amino acid or the potassium or the magnesium anymore. 4. Raises cholesterol. So here's another myth about keto diet raising cholesterol. Your body makes massive amounts of cholesterol every single day for a reason, because it acts as a precursor for hormones. It acts to help repair the tissue, especially when you get older. It's the building block for stress hormones especially. So it's not true that ketosis will increase your cholesterol. In fact, what really makes cholesterol is the sugar in refined glucose and the carbohydrates. If you don't believe this, go ahead and cut out the desserts and the sugar for 1 month. Then recheck your cholesterol and sugar triglycerides and you'll see the levels have come way down. 5. Kidney stones. This is the myth that keto creates kidney stones. Well, if you're running on glucose, you actually have a higher chance of getting oxalate stones, which are the most common type of kidney stones. Foods that are high in oxalate are spinach, beans, grains, chocolate, and any carbs that increase sugar or insulin, which will actually increase uric acid stones. So, in reality, a keto diet will help protect you from this. The only thing you need to do is consume some lemon juice just to help you balance that out a little bit more. 6. You get unwell from being on ketosis. On a keto diet, you do go through a keto flu, which is experienced as your body goes through a change when following a keto diet. During this period of adjustment, a varying degree of unpleasantness is experienced, which feels like a common cold, where the term keto flu comes from. This certainly doesn't last the whole time you are on a keto diet. It usually first occurs when the body goes into ketosis, which is around 2 to 3 days if the keto diet is followed correctly. It can last anything from a few days to a few weeks, but once the body adjusts, then it's just like following any other diet, you just get used to it. So in summary, when looking at the long-term implications of staying on a keto diet, it comes down to using glucose or ketones for fuel. There are many more health implications on burning glucose for fuel than ketones. Unfortunately, as the world runs on carbs and sugar, the unwanted side effects are so widespread they are treated as an acceptable consequence. There is a lot of scaremongering around long-term ketosis. This is mainly due to the fact it changes your body's fuel creation process. What has to be emphasized is that this doesn't only help with weight loss but with a multitude of other things. Staying on a keto diet long-term will only help the body overall when comparing with the alternative. And just like that, we are at the end of this video. As always, if you liked this, please hit the like button or leave us a comment. If you want to see more on healthy living, please hit the subscribe button to be notified on new videos. As an added bonus, get your free Ultimate Keto Guide. Just visit our website shown in the description and follow the links. And finally, just remember, healthy living is a state of the mind. Keep your mind focused and it'll take care of the rest.